Start the show.
Hey, Steven.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good. I'm happy that you're back on the blog and that you're doing this interview.
Yeah, it's been a while, at least a year or so.
Yes, it's been a while. It's been over a year, I'm sure. Um, we just recently did Knitcation together, so that's why I have you on today. Because
Mhm.
I'd like you to tell everybody about your experience in Mexico and how much fun it, of course, was.
Uh-huh.
And I'd love for us to catch up and for you to tell everybody what you've been up to and what you have coming up and all of your fun designing that you're doing.
Yeah, well, Knitcation, that was the very beginning of a big, long trip that I spent for 2 months in the fall traveling in the US. And it was the perfect start to all of that craziness on planes and yarn shops. And it was all wonderful, but it all started in Mexico, which I've been to once before, but it was to build houses. So it was very hard work. And this time we just got to relax all day. And I've
Yes.
never had a vacation like that that was so like luxurious and
Oh.
calming and just beautiful. And combining it with knitting, it's kind of the two best things.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
for knitters, knitting plus anything is really great.
Yeah, and I was surprised too because some days it was pretty hot and a little humid some days, but once you're inside and you have a nice margarita on
Yeah.
hand, some cervezas, you don't feel the heat at all, and it's always air conditioned in all the
Yeah,
buildings. So, yeah, it
that
was
was
heaven.
nice. Yeah, it was beautiful there. I mean, it was definitely nice and warm, and so you got the knitting inside, and in the
Yeah.
beautiful suites, and then the warmth in the sun and playing in the pool outside during the day and stuff. Yeah, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And that was a cool start to your whole relax, recoup, and then go full swing to all of your things you did in the States afterwards.
Yeah, immediately after Mexico, I forget the order
Yeah,
of places I went. Honestly, I have no idea. I think I went to
just a
Chicago right.
blur.
Yeah, and when I went to Chicago for one day, and then I think my next trip was Denver, and then I went to Tulsa, and then Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, back to Chicago, downstate Illinois, New York, Philadelphia, back to Chicago, back to New York, back to Minneapolis, back to New York, and then
Oh my
I flew to
goodness.
Amsterdam.
In the span of a month and a half, maybe?
About a month and a half,
Yeah.
a little more than that. So I'm very happy to be back in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
But I got to see some amazing yarn
Yeah.
shops in the States and
That
just
must
lots
be
of
really
new
cool.
ones, and so it was a really inspiring trip. But by the end, wool can be very exhausting,
Yeah.
surprisingly enough. I love it, but
Yeah. That's really neat. And you got to meet some of your people that you chat with online, I'm sure, and got to meet them in
yeah,
person and all the knitting.
yeah,
That sounds like a lot of fun. So while we were in Mexico, you totally came up with the idea of choreo knitting,
I
which is what
did.
you just released recently. That was so funny because you're sitting there and you got so excited about it and started telling me exactly what you were going to do. And
Yeah.
now seeing it out and seeing it in full swing, it's really cool. So tell everybody about that if they don't.
Yeah, so I got
Know
pretty
it.
inspired in Mexico and came up like because I've been in dance programs and I knit all the time, and they both seem like very separate things. So I wanted to do something that combined them, and so I got this idea to like mix movements and stretches in with knitting patterns. And I started off more complicated, like each movement would represent a stitch, but then I just simplified it and said, okay, it'll be a new pattern, and built into the instructions will be stretching exercises. And my friend Steve, who we went to dance school together with,
Right.
he's the one in all the videos
Yes, very
doing
nice.
the stretching instructions and demonstrations. So we filmed videos demonstrating all these stretches and then inserted them into patterns,
Mhm.
and it's been really fun. We like come up with names for each of them,
Yeah.
and I've because I knit all the patterns before I came up with all the stretches, so I didn't like do the stretches as I was knitting what people got as the pattern.
Uh-huh.
But since then, on the projects I'm working with now, I'm like thinking about all these stretches and like
Right.
noticing that I'm like a lot more tense sometimes. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, maybe I should follow my own advice and look for the cat behind my chair.
Yeah.
Where is that cat?
Yeah, the
But
videos are great. They're so
it's been
funny.
fun.
They're very functional. I understand where they're coming from, but you guys did such a good job. It's really a lot of fun to watch, and I'll link to all the videos for people to
Yeah.
kind of see them because they're really funny. I sit there and even I showed my daughter and my husband, and they were just sitting laughing. Just
Yeah, I
this
like
is
that. I got
great.
a
I
lot of
love it.
messages. A lot of people did the exercises or just at least showed the videos to their
Yeah,
family or their son or daughter. So it was a really nice knit along to get other people involved that aren't
yeah.
necessarily knitters. So I liked seeing that.
Yeah, I like that. Speaking of videos, you have this fun collection of videos of like where to knit. Is that what you call it?
Places where you can knit.
Places where you can knit. That's right. And you did one in Puerto Vallarta at
Yeah.
Knitcation, so I'll link to that
Yes.
so people can see that. It was so much fun. There's some underwater stuff, but those
Yeah.
videos are hilarious. Do you have any new ones coming out?
I do. I have a couple that
Exciting.
need to be edited from my trip to Denver. We did a places where you can knit in Denver, and then a places where you can knit in Fancy Tiger Crafts, which
Oh
is
yes,
a
right.
place, yeah, in the yarn shop.
Uh huh.
So that'll be another set coming soon.
That's so much fun. Those are great. I love to watch that because it makes me makes me smile how you can come up with all of these funny places to it must when now that you make these videos, you must walk around thinking about it all the time like, "Oh, we need to shoot this. We need to put this place in the next video."
Yeah, I look at locations and objects in a completely different way now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. So, I know this is not related to knitting at all, but that fantastic wall behind you, can you tell everybody a little bit about that? Because that was really neat.
Yeah, I could send you a better lit photo, but this is in my living room in Amsterdam, and my friend owns an art and design boutique in Amsterdam in a gallery, so he's like really handy and helped me install this giant wall in my living room, and it's all found wood and objects from the street.
Yeah.
So we just built six kind of frames and then just screwed things into them and then decorated it and added more shapes on top. But yeah, that's pretty, it's very big. So it's a very inspiring thing to look at when I sit on my couch and knit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I thought that was really neat. I know it had nothing to do with knitting, but I thought it was fun to